could you take us through how you defeated Galactus?
He asked too high a price. He asked for our child.
Are we safe?
Not yet. Not yet, we didn't.
Are we safe?
I don't know.
The Fantastic Four. Mr. Fantastic. Human Torch. Invisible Woman. And the Thing.
Who? At last, Fantastic Four: The First Four Steps has arrived. And no, this isn't just any origin story. This installment takes us to a retro-futuristic world with a 70s flair, where science, family, and cosmic threats collide like never before. Marvel's first family faces their most terrifying trial yet: Galactus, a planet-hungry space god, and his silent herald, the relentless Silver Surfer. But when destruction becomes more than just a worldly problem and turns into something deeply personal, that's when the real drama hits. Can they balance their superpowers with their family bonds? Will this new version live up to Marvel's legacy? Suit up, because what you're about to see isn't just a recap, it's the beginning of a new fantastic era. It all starts on Earth 828. We see the brilliant Mr. Fantastic organizing his things while searching for an unusual combination: aloe vera and iodine. Unable to find it, his wife Sue Storm, also known as the Invisible Woman, offers to get it for him. However, something is bothering her. She steps out of the bathroom with a nervous look, and instead of continuing the search, she decides to show him a positive pregnancy test. For 2 years, they tried without success. The topic had become so painful they stopped talking about it, resigned to the idea that parenthood might not be part of their destiny. But that day changed everything. Joy overwhelms them. Their deepest wish has finally come true. They are going to be parents. Next, the scene shifts to a commemorative event celebrating the 4-year anniversary of the formation of the Fantastic Four. The host recounts the team's story as 4 brave explorers: Dr. Reed Richards, his best friend Ben Grimm, his wife Sue Storm, and his brother-in-law Johnny Storm embarked on a space expedition that would change their lives forever. During that mission, they encountered an unexpected cosmic storm that completely altered their DNA. Upon returning to Earth, they began to manifest extraordinary abilities. Over time, they became the Fantastic Four. Just days after their transformation, they faced colossal monsters and challenges that tested their courage and unity. Among their most memorable feats was the time they confronted the Mole Man, who tried to steal the Pan Am building, but was swiftly neutralized by the team. They also foiled the plans of the Mad Thinker, who sought to sabotage New York City. They defeated the Red Ghost and his Super Ape with determination and teamwork. Their bravery made them not just heroes, but symbols. Society embraced them as beacons of hope. Sue Storm, in addition, showed her diplomatic abilities by reaching a peace agreement with the Mole Man himself. During the ceremony, the crowd gives them a standing ovation as they are introduced one by one. The ingenious Mr. Fantastic, the strategic Sue Storm, the fearless Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and the unbreakable Ben Grimm. The Thing. Everyone admires them, cheers for them, sees them as their own. They are far more than heroes. They are protectors. After the celebration, we see them getting ready to share a family dinner, joined by their loyal and efficient robot assistant. Sue and Reed arrive a bit late. A joke about their delay momentarily confuses Sue, ashen, prompting laughter and suspicion. Noticing her odd behavior and Reed's, the others begin to sense the truth. Finally, Sue reveals her pregnancy, and joy fills the room. Everyone is just as thrilled as the soon-to-be parents. They celebrate the fact that they'll become uncles and promise to rise to the occasion. The Fantastic family is growing, and everyone knows the best is yet to come. Even the news reports echo the astonishing development: the arrival of a 5th member of the Fantastic Four. Anticipation builds. Everyone on the team begins preparing excitedly for the baby's arrival. They tidy their surroundings, study childcare, and do their best to live up to the new role ahead of them. One question lingers in the air. Will the baby be born with superpowers or just be a regular human? During a visit for an ultrasound, an alert from space suddenly interrupts the moment. Just then, Johnny bursts in excitedly. He's found the design for the team's new suits. However, Mr. Fantastic responds with seriousness that a new transmission demands their immediate attention. They prepare to receive the signal, but suddenly a blackout plunges everything into darkness. Without hesitation, Johnny activates his powers to light up the room and allow everything to proceed. Shortly after, Sue Storm discovers that her husband has delegated the task of assembling the crib to the robot assistant. As she looks into it further, she realizes that Reed has been secretly building a specialized machine designed to analyze whether their baby will exhibit genetic alterations or develop powers. Mr. Fantastic explains explains that anyone can put together a crib, but very few are capable of constructing a machine that can determine whether their child will be affected by the cosmic radiation that altered their own DNA. He believes it's essential to take precautions, as there could be unpredictable consequences. However, Sue, with a powerful calmness, chooses not to rely on the machine. Using her abilities, she shows Reed a clear vision of the baby in her womb, a completely normal child, at least in appearance. With tenderness and conviction, she shows him that some things don't need to be measured to be understood. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Ben Grimm, the Thing, strolls among the pedestrians. A group of children approaches him with admiration and asks if he can lift a car just for fun. Smiling, Ben agrees and performs the feat, sparking cheers from the kids. When he returns home, Reed proudly announces that he has finally finished assembling the crib. He explains that he's been constantly gathering data to anticipate any risk and build a safer future for their child. But just as things seem to settle down, the sky splits open. Something unknown descends from above. Johnny bursts into flames and takes off to investigate, only to witness a disturbing scene. A powerful figure, Shalla-Bal, has arrived on Earth, leaving chaos in her wake. The Fantastic Four immediately regroup on solid ground to confront the threat. Shalla-Bal, speaking in a solemn tone, declares that her planet has been condemned. Her world is on the verge of being consumed by an unstoppable force, the devourer of worlds. She insists there is no stopping him. All that's left is to accept the end. She urges everyone to hold their loved ones close and to confess their truths before time runs out. In a grave voice, without hesitation, she proclaims the beginning of the end. It's not just a warning, it's a sentence. She announces the arrival of Galactus. Johnny, driven by determination, decides to chase after Shalla-Bal, but when he reaches her, she effortlessly repels him, hurling him away with a single motion. Faced with the imminent threat, the Fantastic Four begin tracking Shalla-Bal's movements. During their investigation, they uncover a disturbing pattern. A series of planets has vanished without a trace, all connected by the same energy source. And on each of those worlds, Shalla-Bal was present. Johnny tells them that during his brief encounter with her, she spoke in an unfamiliar language. He didn't understand her words, but was deeply affected by their intensity. Later, he decides to go through the old discs containing recordings of interstellar languages. After a patient search, he manages to identify a dialect similar to the one she used. Meanwhile, Mr. Fantastic presents the team with their new suits, designed with advanced technology. He explains their enhanced features, built to adapt to extreme conditions in both combat and intergalactic exploration. The safety of the team and the baby on the way is now a top priority. The Fantastic Four make a public appearance once more at a major event. Reed takes the stage and reminds the crowd that 4 years ago they were nothing more than explorers with a shared dream: to conquer space. The universe represented the final frontier, a promise of discovery. But the unknown also brings fear, transformation, and responsibility. That's why today they've chosen to return to space, this time not as dreamers, but as defenders of humanity. Ben Grimm approaches Reed to thank him for the new suit, but also to remind him of something important, that he should stop blaming himself for what happened years ago. Reed still carries the weight of believing that the suits he designed back then caused their mutations. Ben, with his signature honesty, assures him that no one blames him and that they shouldn't carry that burden into this new mission. With steady hearts and a clear goal, they say goodbye to the crowd, board their ship, and once buckled in, begin their journey. Earth fades behind them, and soon they dive into deep space, reaching speeds faster than light. They're in search of Galactus, though no one truly knows what that colossal entity looks like. After an intense search on the radar, they detect a powerful energy anomaly. They follow the signal to a planet being mercilessly consumed. Everything that once lived there is being devoured. Mr. Fantastic calculates that the ship controlled by Galactus is 13% larger than Earth, which heightens the imminent threat. Sue Storm, using her invisibility powers, infiltrates the gigantic structure. However, her presence is detected. Galactus, an entity of unfathomable power, scans each of them one by one, including the baby growing in her womb. Shalla-Bal reappears and solemnly announces that Galactus is willing to receive them. She adds that they should never have come. Upon landing, the heroes prepare to face the unknown. They ask their loyal robot Harvey to collect samples of anything possible for analysis, but Shalla-Bal coldly clarifies that Galactus doesn't choose which planets to devour. She is the one who selects them. It is her duty and her curse. Johnny approaches her with a mix of courage and confusion to ask what the words she spoke meant on the day she threw him from her board. Shalla-Bal looks at him with an impenetrable expression and replies that it is a blessing in her language. It means die with your own. They finally arrive in the presence of Galactus, the feared devourer of worlds. But to their surprise, he doesn't annihilate them immediately. Instead, he honors them with his attention. With a voice deep and ancient like the universe itself, Galactus reveals that he was once like them, a small, fragile human being. It was millions of years ago, before the cosmic hunger consumed his essence, before he became the devouring entity he is today. Watching them with detached grandeur, he tells them they've traveled far to beg for mercy. He believes he understands. They think themselves worthy of saving their world. But what truly interests him is not them, but the unborn child. Galactus proclaims that this child to come, the son of Sue Storm and Reed Richards, is the key. Within him lies a power that transcends human comprehension, an ancient cosmic force that is about to awaken. Galactus offers to spare Earth, but only if they hand over the baby. In exchange, he will halt the destruction. That child is Franklin Richards. In the records of the cosmos, he is known as an Omega-level mutant, bearer of colossal abilities including the manipulation of reality itself and vast psionic powers. In many possible futures, he is considered one of the most powerful entities in the universe. But for now, that power lies dormant within a body yet to be born. And just at that moment, as if fate itself had decided it, Sue Storm goes into labor. Her water breaks, and the birth becomes imminent. Galactus, with his thunderous voice, announces his verdict. He will devour Earth slowly and make sure her son witnesses it all. Shalla-Bal, his herald, moves to stop their escape. A battle breaks out. The Fantastic Four manage to temporarily incapacitate her and rush to board their ship. They flee at full speed, but Shalla-Bal does not relent. She chases them through the void of space, accelerating until she reaches the speed of light, as she too commands that power. During the pursuit, she tries to breach the interior of the ship to seize the baby. Johnny Storm is sent to stop her, but hesitation holds him back. From the first moment he saw her, something inside him changed. He feels drawn to her, fascinated, and he cannot bring himself to strike. Furthermore, the laws of physics work against him. The speed of light distorts his attacks, rendering them ineffective. The team decides to execute a new plan. They reduce the intensity of the speed field, a dangerous maneuver that could absorb them all into chronospace. But they have no other choice. During those brief seconds, Sue Storm uses her power to render the ship invisible. It's enough. They manage to outwit Shalla-Bal, who is left trapped within unstable currents of hyperspace. The immediate danger is contained, but time is not on their side. They don't have enough fuel to return to Earth quickly. Sue, exhausted and in pain, can't wait any longer. She begins to push, while Reed holds her tenderly, guiding her with intelligence and love amid the stellar chaos. And so, in the heart of chronospace, a region where time and matter fold like paper, Franklin Richards is born, a new being wrapped in light and cosmic silence, who may one day alter the fate of the entire universe. Finally, after an entire month of absence, the Fantastic Four manage to return to Earth. The ship lands, and instantly, crowds pour out to welcome them. Applause, cheers, and tears of joy flood the streets. To the people, their return symbolizes a final victory. Everyone believes Galactus has been defeated, but the heroes descend with solemn faces. Mr. Fantastic takes the microphone and, amid the noise, clarifies an uncomfortable truth. Galactus has not been defeated. He explains that he managed to negotiate with him, but the price was unthinkable. Galactus demanded something Reed can never give, his newborn son. Meanwhile, Shalla-Bal escapes her prison in hyperspace and returns to her master. Galactus, unshaken, reminds her that both she and the child possess immeasurable power, but that the child, Franklin Richards, is the key, a being of infinite power who could finally satisfy his eternal hunger and allow him to rest. Shalla-Bal must find the baby and bring him before Galactus. Reed Richards, overwhelmed, acknowledges that he is facing a being who transcends all human logic. Galactus doesn't see Franklin as a child, but as his successor, a perfect vessel to inherit the curse of cosmic power. And the most terrifying part is, they have no plan, nothing. Amid the confusion, Johnny Johnny approaches his sister with a strange helmet. Inside it, he has stored pheromones linked to Shalla-Bal, which allow a hidden message to be projected, her so-called blessing. Johnny reveals that he had heard that voice before in the old interstellar language recordings. With this information, he believes he can help Mr. Fantastic understand the true nature of Shalla-Bal. But just when it seems like they might make progress, the news announces a growing outcry. Crowds are demanding that the Fantastic Four hand over the baby to save the planet. The public pressure is unbearable. Reed tries to reassure Sue, promising that he would never agree to such a demand. However, Sue cuts him off. She knows that, even if it was only a fleeting thought, the idea crossed his mind, and that alone is enough to shake the foundation of trust. In silence, disappointed and hurt, she walks away from her husband. The tension in the streets is thick, almost suffocating. Entire crowds have poured into protests, demanding the unthinkable, the surrender of a baby in exchange for the salvation of the planet. Uncertainty had turned into hysteria, and fear into a fire fueled by collective desperation. In the midst of that emotional chaos, a figure emerged from the heart of the building. She wore no cape, no shield, no armor, but walked as if nothing could touch her. Sue Storm appeared with a steady face, confident steps, and a soul ablaze. In her arms, she held her newborn son, Franklin Richards, the child the world had turned into a threat before he even opened his eyes to the universe. She moved through the crowd like a beacon in a storm, unfazed by the shouting, the signs, or the cameras. Every step she took was a statement. She wasn't there to ask for permission. She was there to make things clear. When she reached an improvised platform, she rose above the crowd. In that moment, the entire city seemed to hold its breath. Faces that had brimmed with rage now showed doubt. The image was impossible to ignore. A mother standing before the judgment of the world, holding in her arms the most precious thing the universe had ever given her. She offered no apologies, no hollow promises. What she offered was a simple, powerful truth. That child was not a symbol, not a weapon, not a price to be paid. He was her son, and if the world believed it had the right to demand him, it was about to learn how far a united family was willing to go. She had no intention of sacrificing her baby to save Earth, but she wasn't going to let Earth die just to protect her own. In her heart, the only line had already been drawn. That day, Sue Storm didn't need to raise her voice or summon her powers. Her determination was her shield. Her love was her strength. And there, before millions of eyes, she made a choice no cosmic force could bend. They would fight, not for duty, not for fame, but for what truly mattered. They would fight for their son, for humanity, for the future, and they would do it the only way they ever had, together, as a family that cannot be broken. The crowd erupts in applause. They agree. Then, Mr. Galactic steps forward with what he claims is the ultimate solution, to move Earth to a location so remote that Galactus will never be able to find it. He explains that he's built an interdimensional bridge, although for now he's only been able to transport a single egg a few meters. Despite this, he presents his bold plan before all of humanity to relocate the entire planet to a remote corner of the universe where they can remain hidden for millions of years. To carry out such a feat, they will use every available resource, counting on the active cooperation of humans. It will be necessary to save every last drop of energy. Each citizen must do their part, reducing electricity consumption to a minimum, as that energy will be essential to activate the quantum bridges required to execute the planetary displacement. Meanwhile, Johnny manages to fully decipher the encoded message in Shalla-Bal's ancient language. With it, he prepares to carry out his part of the plan to initiate Earth's displacement. But just as everything begins to go according to plan, Shalla-Bal suddenly appears and sabotages the connections, interrupting the critical process. Johnny, without losing his composure, steps forward to face her. He plays for her the intercepted transmissions from deep space. In her own language, he reveals that he has uncovered her story, that he has been able to reconstruct much of her past by piecing together fragments of her tongue. He tells her that he knows who she was, a brilliant scientist who, when Galactus came to her world, offered him her eternal loyalty in exchange for saving her family. He accepted and transformed her. Those messages were, in fact, expressions of gratitude from the only planet Galactus ever spared. Confronted with the truth, Johnny brings her face to face with the memories she had tried to bury. He reminds her that it was she who guided Galactus to all those worlds now lying in ruins, and that now she is bringing him to Earth. Shalla-Bal, consumed by guilt, retreats, visibly shaken. Johnny follows, trying to reach her humanity. He tells her he is only trying to protect his planet, just as she once did. Emotionally broken, she demands that he hand over the child. She insists that if Franklin were older, he would sacrifice himself, just as she once did. Johnny, moved, offers himself in Franklin's place, but she refuses, saying it's not his decision to make. Then, with a cold and resigned voice, Shalla-Bal declares they must save the child, even if it means sacrificing the entire world, so long as there is still time. Then, after intense deliberation, they formulate a new plan. They won't try to move the planet away from the giant, but rather move the giant away from the planet. The key will be to separate Galactus from his ship, his source of energy and position. If the calculations are correct, they will manage to send him to the most remote reaches of the universe, and without his ship, he will be trapped, stranded in the vastness of the cosmos. Sue Storm speaks up. She believes the strategy has potential, but warns that there's one fundamental requirement. They will need to use baby Franklin's power. At first, the others refuse. The idea of involving the infant is unthinkable. However, the lack of alternatives forces them to reconsider. Finally, with sorrow but determination, they agree and begin executing the plan. To perfect the operation, they summon Harvey, better known as the Mole Man, an expert in subterranean levels. He will lead the evacuation of the population into underground shelters where they will be safe from the impending confrontation. Under his guidance, thousands begin to descend into the depths, while on the surface, everything is prepared for the final moment. The Fantastic Four, with heavy hearts, bring little Franklin to the designated meeting point. They place him in a key area of the terrain. Only as bait, the tension is unbearable. Everyone waits in silence. Galactus descends from his imposing ship, silent and massive, and begins scanning the area for the child. His presence distorts the environment. The air trembles. The moment he touches the ground, the Fantastic Four launch their maneuver. They attack from multiple fronts, trying to destabilize him and lure him into the trap they've prepared. But they soon realize the scale of the challenge. Galactus is eternal. They can't hurt him, blind him, or even slow him down. His power is beyond any known limit. For a moment, it seems the trap might work, but the Titan halts, slowly rises, and with a thunderous voice exclaims, "Deceitful worms." Then he directs a focused scan at the place where the baby is. When Galactus finally locates the child, he strides toward him with colossal steps, but the heroes will not allow him to take the baby. One by one, they stand in his way, ready to stop him at any cost. However, the force of the World Devourer is overwhelming. With a single movement, he hurls Ben Grimm out of the battlefield. Johnny, without thinking, rushes to rescue his friend. Meanwhile, Mr. Fantastic confronts Galactus directly with determination, trying to restrain him using his elastic body, but the giant grabs him with one hand and begins to stretch him, testing the limits of his resistance with an almost scientific coldness. He is about to tear him in two when Ben and Johnny return just in time to intervene, preventing the worst. Taking advantage of the chaos, Galactus presses forward relentlessly toward the baby. He takes him into his hands with an unsettling gentleness. In a deep voice, he whispers, "You are my release. The time has come to feed," but he did not count on the strength of a mother. Sue Storm, filled with rage and love, channels all her power. Her maternal fury unleashes an invisible and deadly energy. She begins to push Galactus back with waves of force, gradually weakening him, making him retreat. With precision and courage, she guides him to the exact spot where the dimensional trap has been placed. Johnny, watching from a distance, waits. As soon as Galactus steps into the designated area, he activates the mechanism. A surge of energy envelops the cosmic titan. In an instant, the plan is realized. Galactus is absorbed and expelled to the edge of the universe, just as they had calculated. The baby is saved by his father, barely, by the narrowest of margins. Sue Storm, however, collapses. The effort of channeling such immense power has left her on the brink of collapse. But just when everything seems over, a tremor shakes the ground. Galactus returns from within the dimension to which he was sent. He tries to break out, a crack forms, and within seconds it threatens to release him once again. Johnny, without hesitation, prepares to sacrifice himself. He knows there's no other option. He looks one last time at his team and with a strange smile says, "Tell the baby his Uncle Johnny loves him." He's about to hurl himself into the rift when a figure appears in the distortion. It's Shalla-Bal. Without hesitation, she pushes Johnny out of the way and throws herself into the breach. In one final act of redemption, she sacrifices herself, taking Galactus with her into the abyss, completing the plan. Then everyone runs to Sue Storm. Exhausted, wounded, but alive, the mother who defied a god for her child. Sue Storm lay breathless. Her unmoving body seemed to have completely given in to the colossal effort she had just endured. Reed, her husband, struggled against panic as he tried to revive her. He called her name, pressed against her chest, begged her to come back, but it was all in vain. She didn't respond. Silence reigned, total and suffocating, as if the entire universe were holding its breath. Then Franklin, their baby boy, began to stir. From the arms of one of the team members, he squirmed desperately. He wanted to be close. He cried, stretching his little hands toward his mother, as if he could feel her absence beyond the physical. Seeing his reaction, they decided to place him next to her motionless body, and in that instant, the unexpected happened. A warm and intense energy, almost celestial, emanated from the child. Suddenly, Sue Storm's heart began to beat again. A breath filled her lungs, and her eyes opened. She was alive! Franklin, as if he understood what he had done, clapped with innocent joy. Sue looked at him with tears trembling in her eyes, then turned her head toward Reed and with a weak but awestruck voice said, "I felt it. I felt his energy. Our son is not like us. He's so much more powerful." The planet had been saved, the baby too, and now even his mother had come back. Thanks to him, the mission was complete. The Fantastic Four, now 5, gathered once again before the crowd. People cheered, celebrating their heroism. As a token of gratitude, someone presented them with a tiny suit with the number 5 stitched onto the chest, a symbolic gesture honoring the newest member of the family. But Reed and Sue declined with a smile. It was too soon. Franklin was still just a baby. Just as they were about to be formally introduced to the world, an alert echoed through their communicators. Without a word, they vanished. And so the movie ends.